Hello everyone. Well, today I'm going to show you how to properly check the pressure and recharge the Freon in your car's air conditioning system. With the proper tools and a little know-how, it's really a simple job. Well, here's the tools and supplies we're going to need to do this job. This is a pressure gauge which will be used to test the low side pressure in the air conditioning system. And as you can see here, it has different colors on the meter. The green indicates a low pressure, the blue indicates a desired pressure, and the yellow and red would indicate too much pressure, which would mean too much Freon and overcharged system. Now the next little item we have here is the charge hose. This charge hose will actually screw right onto the top of the refrigerant can, and you twist a little valve which will bring the little needle out and actually pierce the top of the can. When you back off the T-valve, that needle will move out of the way and actually let the refrigerant travel through the valve, through the hose, and into the coupler, which will be hooked to the air conditioning system of the car. So we're going to go ahead and hook this gauge up to the car. It hooks right to the inlet port on the air conditioner system, which is located right here, which on this particular car is the hose that hooks to the accumulator bulb. This is a Ford Mustang, and they made it pretty easy and accessible for your air conditioning ports. This particular car, the air conditioning seems to be turning on and off, which indicates it's probably low on Freon. If it's low on Freon pressure, this little valve here is a sensor, and it'll actually turn your compressor off if it's not charged properly. Otherwise, your compressor would run constantly and wear it out. So we're going to go ahead and get it running. Bring the car up to a fast idle with the air conditioning on full blast on high max air. Hook the gauge up to it and see what kind of readings we get. If we get a low reading, we're going to go ahead and add some refrigerant. Alright, well now, as I have stated earlier, we've gone ahead and started the car, turned the air conditioning on. It's on max air, so it should be pumping. Always check to see if your compressor pump clutch is moving. Alright, so now we've got the car turned on. The air conditioner is on max air, which is the highest setting on your air conditioning system. We're going to go ahead and hook the gauge up to our low pressure service port, which is the suction port that goes into the compressor. You never want to make the mistake and hook it to the other one, which is the high pressure hose. Usually they do have different size hose fittings, so it's impossible to get them mixed up. This hose will usually only fit on your low size fitting. But that's one reason we're going to take a pressure reading before we attempt to charge the system. We want to make sure that this really is a low side setting. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and hook the gauge up. It's on just like any other air hose coupler. And as you can see here, we've got right about 20 some pounds, and the best way to check it is actually run the engine up and get that compressor running, and it should suck it down if it's low. Otherwise it might stay right there. Alright, so as you can tell here, the gauge is high, and I can see that the compressor clutch is not engaged. Now it is just engaged, and it's actually sucking the pressure down. And it just turned itself off again. So that's a sure sign of low Freon pressure. What it's actually doing is giving that sensor a reading, telling it there's not enough Freon in the system, and shutting off the compressor temporarily. Once that pressure builds back up, it's turning it back on. So what's really happening is the air compressor is turning on and off and on and off, which is not an efficient way to run that system. So we're going to go ahead and add some Freon to it and check the pressure one more time. Each can you should check the pressure, because you definitely do not want to overcharge. Alright, now that we've determined that we need to charge the system, we're going to go ahead and take our charge hose, take a look inside the orifice where the can hooks up, and make sure the little needle valve is all the way back, because we don't want to puncture the can while we're screwing the can on. So we're going to go ahead and take our can of refrigerant here. We're going to screw it right onto the valve. Screw it on there good and tight so it seals up. Take your coupler fitting here. Put it right onto your inlet nipple. Make sure it's on there good and tight. It has a lock fitting on there, so put it on and try to pull it off. If it doesn't pull off, you know you got it on there tight. That's real important. You don't want this thing flying off while you're charging it. So go ahead. This particular kind of refrigerant is designed to use the can upside down so the fluid goes in from the top of the can. Actually, you want to charge the liquid first. So we're going to go ahead and hold the can upside down like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn this thing in, which is going to puncture the top of the can. And it's going to release the pressure and the Freon out of the can and go into the system. Now I've got them all the way in, bottomed out. I can feel it puncture the hole in the can. Next, we're going to back the valve out, which will pull the needle out of the hole in the can and allow the Freon to go in. So go ahead and done that. Go ahead and let it charge up. I can feel it getting light already. This can doesn't have very much in it actually to begin with, so we're going to let it charge up. That's about it for that one. It's always good to make sure if it's got any left, shake it around. In fact, you should shake the can before you start. Some of these have oils and dyes in them. It's good to shake it up. Go ahead and open it one more time. I can tell there's a little bit left in there. Alright, that ought to do it. So go ahead and close the valve all the way once again. Take your coupler off. Before you pull this hose off the can, open the valve once again. And there's going to be just a little burp of air pressure in the can that you're going to want to release that. And that's it. So we're going to check the pressure again and see how we did. Got my pressure hose right here. Alright. Looks like we're right about 25 pounds, which is pretty good. That's about the lowest in the operating area. You don't want to put more than 45. The safe area is from 25 to 45. On some of these other products like the MaxiFreeze, that stuff will work great between 25 to 35 pounds of pressure. There's no need to add more than that. So we're going to run this idle up, make sure it's still working for us. Still a tad low. We're going to go ahead and put one more can in. We want it to be at least 25 pounds while it's at a fast idle and the pump's working. So we're going to put one more can of refrigerant in and we'll check the pressure again. Alright, that about empties that second can here. Go ahead and close the valve. Remember, always close this valve before you unhook it from the car. Go ahead and unhook it. We're going to remember to release a little bit of pressure that's in there first, then we'll take it off the can. Next we're going to hook our gauge back up again. Oh yeah, much better. Alright, hopefully you can see that. We're riding right on about 35 pounds on an idle. And I'm going to give her a little gas and actuate that compressor pump. Watch that needle move. That's pretty good. Even during suction of the pump, it's still not even going down to 25, so that's perfect. That's just what we want. Should be blowing good and cold now. Now, if you're working on an R12 car, which is usually a 96 or older vehicle, you're going to need to install what they call a retrofitting, which is a adapter nipple that fits right on the 134 hose that I was using here. This particular car has 134. On your other R12 style cars, you'll actually take this nipple, find your low side pressure fitting, and screw this right onto it, which will allow you to hook this style hose and the 134 style can to your car. Pretty much the same exact process. Put the pressure gauge on, check the pressure, add as needed, check the pressure, every can of fluid you put in. Bring it up between 25 to 35 pounds and you should be fine. So anyway, I hope that you learned something today, and just be careful doing this. Try to follow instructions and refer to your motor's manual if you have one available. It probably will walk you through the same directions I just told you about. So. Well, that pretty much covers it. We've gone ahead and checked the pressure, added refrigerant, got it up to operating level. She's blowing cold again. So I hope that you have the same results I did. This was a very simple job to do, and anybody can do it themselves if they just know how. So anyway, hopefully that you'll be looking for my next videos coming out, and thank you again.